Hey guys, it's Ben here today. So we don't have much planned today. I thought we'll talk about what it's like to live with twin Webers. Let's get to it. The first thing with twin Webers, everybody's always telling you they're a nightmare. You're constantly going to be tuning them, tuning. So yeah, they do require a bit of tuning. Every now and then I've got to bring the idle up and down on one carby or the other. The main problem is you got to get the linkages exactly even at idle, more so than anywhere. If one's open and one's backing off, like, then it's gonna go. Your cylinders are fighting each other and shit. I guess that's the biggest problem with tuning, is you've got to have both your carbs in sync. You've got to have all the linkages in sync. From what I've read and from my experience now, most of your problems are going to be with your linkages. But pay someone else to check the jets and fucking do all that shit. Just make sure the linkages are spot on. If you get there to tune your fucking shit and the linkages are fucked, the guy's gonna be fucking spewing. So that's the first thing. We got all the old motorbikes rolling past. Hang on, we'll stop and have a look, eh? Oh, I think that was all of them. Normally there's fucking more. Sometimes it'd be fucking hundreds roll past here. Alright, back to it. Right, so the second thing about living with Webers is cold starts. I haven't hooked up a choke. I do live in Queensland, coastal area, so it is always pretty warm here. Doesn't often get under like 15 degrees. In summer, the temperature overnight even doesn't drop much below 30 degrees. I'll throw in a quick video and you'll see what it's like with cold start. Oh, full cold start. As long, like I was saying, go back to the last point. As long as everything's tuned right and you've got a good ignition system and fucking rah. Next thing I would say about living with Webers, if you've just got like your standard Datsun downdraft carby, having like Hitachi carbs instead is going to make you feel like you've got about a third more accelerator at top end. Like you'll hear, a third more. Then if you go the twin Webers, it's like having about a third more of that again. So when you give it to it, it really goes and fucking sucks, man. And like it doesn't suck, it's fucking awesome. But they suck fucking heaps. That's the difference, is you're letting in more air, more fuel. They can just suck more in. You can almost look like straight down these carbies into the valves. With a good enough torch, you could probably see the fucking the cylinder walls. That's one big difference. That's what gives you more power. That's what gives you the sound. It makes all the fucking difference. A lot of the time, like, you see a car with twin Webers, it's cammed, fucking race car as fuck, everything's shaking and fucking crap. But like, if you want twin Webers on your street car, if you've just got a nice street engine, put your Webers on. Like, as long as you go back to point number one and everything's tuned right, fucking it runs as smooth as it did with the standard carbies. Nothing fucking shakes like fuck. It drives just as well down low. Like, there's no real fucking miss or hesitation, or it's not, you don't have to rev it up to 4 grand to fucking get moving. Like, I can take off without the accelerator at all from pretty much cold start. They're just better carbies. Like, the smoother, better, fucking everything. It's all about getting that fucking number one point, tuning, fucking spot on, everything in sync, and especially the linkages. Alright. Are you going to use more petrol? Yes, probably. Is your car going to stink like petrol? No. Is your exhaust alright? Is all your fuel lines good and shit? Like, why would your car stink like petrol? Yeah, if you overfuel it, at times I have seen a drip out the front of the carby and shit. How much more petrol do I use now? It's hard to say. I'm probably still using I don't know, a litre per 10 kilometres still, like, what's that, 10 litres per 100 k's, so that's still not bad, like, that for an old car and shit, it's not bad. Modern car does like 7 or something, my girlfriend's Corolla, so if I'm getting 10, I'll be happy. I'd have to really work it out. It's not like I've been using excessive amounts of fuel or nothing. Like I said, my engine's only built for street. It's not fucking race camp, although I'd love it to be. It's going to depend on your engine as well, and your tuning, how rich or lean you're running. I think I'm still running pretty rich. The petrol doesn't bother me yet anyway. Even when I'm not cruising, I still don't feel like I'm using a fuck ton. Petrol's pretty good. 93 cents a litre at the moment, so you can't beat that shit anyway. Fucking drink it up. Get some good stuff. 93 cents a litre. So I guess the last point I'd like to make about twin Webers is a pretty big one, especially if you're umming and ahhing about getting them, is if I had to do it again, would I do anything different? Like, I've forked out almost fucking, or probably more by the time it's all on the car, and fucking probably cost me $2,300 to get the Webers in the car, set up, another $200 to get bloke in town to tune it, make sure they're all good. Was it worth it? What other options is there? You've got your obvious downdraft Weber to replace your normal carby. You can go the SUs, or the Hitachis, which is what I replaced. I didn't want to go back to a downdraft carby anyway. I definitely wanted side draft. The other option I had was to go EFI. I could have bought the EFI throttle bodies to suit that same manifold. The Weber style ones, they cost almost the same price. I would have been up for a little bit more because I'd need to buy a computer, buy a mad ignition system, LS coils and fucking crank trigger or whatever, and then get it all wired up, then tuned. I don't know. I don't think I could get away with it less than $4,000. Would it have been better? Probably. Like, probably go fucking ton harder. Sound just as good. Would it $1,500 more, I guess. Looking back, yeah, that would have been a good option. But I can always collect the bits now and piece it together for the future. Pick bits up secondhand here and there and shit, and maybe piece it together a bit cheaper. That's probably my plan for the future at the moment. And then once it's EFI, well, then I can look at fucking turbos. And the other option, which would have saved me almost $1,000, I reckon, would have been to use the Chinese Weber copies. Like, I did look into them a little bit. From what I can tell, they're probably the same quality as the Spanish Webers anyway. So there's plenty of cars running them, no problems at all. I can't find anybody that's ever had a problem with one. So it's going to be the same thing. As long as it's set up properly, tuned properly, and you've got a decent ignition system and shit, you shouldn't have any fucking problems. Looking back, the one thing now I would have done different is I would have just bought the Chinese carbs. That would have made the biggest difference for the best bang for buck by a long way. I'm going to leave it at that at the moment. If you've got any other questions about what it's like to live with twin Webers, I'd love to hear them, and I'll try and answer them all in the comments down the bottom. If I get enough, I might even make another video to answer all your questions. But I don't know, I'm pretty thorough, I reckon. Eh? Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. I hope I haven't dragged this shit out too long. I'll catch us next time, eh?